Since the dawn of computing, these once immense machines have revolutionized our lives. Everything from taking man to the moon to modeling the world around us. For a while, computers were out of the public eye. They were just too big and too expensive. But then a revolution came in the form of the personal computer. Since then, computers have been getting smaller and more powerful. And in recent years, we've begun to see a shift. The computer's latest form has merged with the smartphone. For a time, they were too weak to be a PC replacement. Until now. I'd like you to sit back, relax, and watch, and see if the Galaxy Note 2 can finally replace the personal computer. So, the equipment I'm going to use to do this monumental task. I'm going to use Samsung's official HML adapter, which is different from the first Galaxy Note, as well as an HDMI cable. This cable is going to plug into a 29-inch Samsung LED monitor. This is going to serve as our display for our PC, which of course is our smartphone. This is all going to be plugged into a 5.1 surround sound speaker system, and the actual processor is going to be the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. For input, we're going to use an Apple keyboard and an Apple Magic Mouse. First things first, so how is using the internet in such a setup? Well, straight up, navigating around the user interface is a lot more satisfying. Keyboard input is more responsive, and the mouse is better too. If we scroll over to the web browser, with Flash installed you'll be able to see that everything runs smoothly as it should. If we push the mouse to the extremity of the web browser, either up or down, we'll be able to scroll. This is kind of like AirView, but only works on some browsers. We can obviously go to full screen if we want to, and this just mimics the PC-like viewing experience for YouTube videos. To access the multi-window feature, using the Magic Mouse, we can hold down on the right hand side of the Magic Mouse and then click, and this toggles the quick application menu. For different mouse manufacturers, these gestures will obviously be different. So as you've seen earlier, we can jump into an email and pop up a floating browser if we want to. But what if we want more than just the pop-up browser? We want something more full-featured that has full flash and full desktop experiences. Well, there's an application called Floating Browser which is just this. So on the left hand side you can see that we have a YouTube video playing, and on the right hand side you can see that we're searching for something. Now if we close everything down, you'll be able to see that everything is still running inside the background. So all these things are indeed happening together in real time. So if you're using Skype and you're in the situation where you have to pull up some information while talking to someone, it's quite easy. You just have the web browser sitting there on top of Skype so you can pull up wherever you need to. Video camera now works while outputted to HDMI, so it's kind of pretty cool. Now you can video chat if you want to over the net on a full HD monitor, and if you do turn the phone towards the monitor, you get some pretty cool Inception kind of effects. It's pretty trippy. On a full PC operating system, it's usually possible to listen to some music, say streaming off SoundCloud, while browsing a website such as Facebook. On mobile operating systems, the music usually stops streaming once you change tabs or get out of the application. But with the floating browser, we can just stream the music while browsing the web normally, just like a regular PC. So let's take a look at the CPU load. Under normal usage, you can see that the loading on all the 4 cores is usually under 50%. But that's normal usage. What if we pushed it to the maximum? What if we tried to put as many applications running at the same time as we could? How would that look like? Let's take a look. A few footnotes to mention before I describe the testing. Unfortunately, for some unknown reason, Pop-Up Player doesn't work once connected to HDMI out. This is pretty disappointing, but nevertheless I went along to the Play Store and downloaded another video player that could do multiple windows. I decided to use that for the testing. So this test is basically taking advantage of the 4 cores in the Galaxy Note 2. We're just going to see how much loading the processor can take before things start to get messy. What I mean by messy is things slowing down, getting choppy, crashing, just things like that. Unfortunately, this video player app can only open 2 videos at once. Alright, so let's get started. So let's get back to our web browser, we'll play a Flash video, and then we'll see what happens when we add more and more things. So we've got 2 videos playing in the background and a Flash video, which is actually more CPU intensive than just playing a video natively. And then if we open another tab, we'll see that we have the 2 videos playing, and the CPU usage is now sitting at half, except CPU 3 just spiked up there when we opened the second one just to get things running smoothly. And then Things were smooth at this point, everything was not too bad, but then when we open the third browser we see the CPU spike up to almost full, then go back to 3/4, and if we open a web page in full view it actually is still smooth, no problems there, but then the CPU starts to get a bit heavy when all the videos are buffering at the same time. And then when we do open the fourth browser and then have 4 flash videos and the 2 native videos playing at the same time, the CPU is stuck almost 3/4 to full, and things do get a bit choppy and not as smooth as you would have natively. And don't forget, this is all HDMI out as well, guys, so this is pretty impressive. The strange thing is, both native videos didn't show any signs of choppiness or lagging at all, they were actually just standard, so it is doing a good job at multitasking there. Alright, well that's all well and good, so let's move over to productivity. We're going to use Kingsoft Office once again, and we're going to try the copy and pasting test. This failed on the original Galaxy Note because of lack of RAM, but let's see how it fares here. So we're going to use Dolphin Browser because we can use that option to save as. And let's search for something interesting instead of being boring. I'll choose cats and lettuce instead of lettuce. So we've got this interesting picture of a cat. Don't even ask, I have no idea why someone would do that. But it's saved, so we can go into our browser, we can search for it, and there we have it. And we copy to the clipboard and try and paste. But once again, seems as Kingsoft Office has closed itself, so it's just a policy that the application seems to have. So we can do it within the application, so we can go browse for our picture, and we have success for the first time ever. So if you don't know already, this test failed on the original Galaxy Note due to lack of RAM. So the Galaxy Note 2 does indeed fix this issue. So just finishing up with the word editing, we could wrap our text any way we choose. So big deal, word editing. Everyone knows that most things can do that, but what about something a little more left of field? Well, say somehow you've projected your Galaxy Note to a larger monitor, whether it be HDMI or SmartShare or something like that, and you wanted to do a little presentation, but instead of using PowerPoint or something like that, you wanted to use something a little different. Well, I guess you could write on the screen, and it would kind of be like a massive whiteboard. So I'm not sure how useful this is, or if anyone would actually like to do this in reality, but the option definitely is there. And with things like Shape Match, it makes things a lot easier, so if we're going to draw a graph of some unnamed stock, we can see that things easily shape into place without much effort. And of course, if we wanted to insert something a little fun, we could. So I guess you've seen the Galaxy Note 2 replace the PC in some aspects already, but let's move on to gaming. But before we do that, let's take a short break, so you can grab a snack and we'll be back after this. Hey guys, so welcome back. I hope you had a good snack. You know, I could go for some pizza or something, but let's continue on to gaming. Let's see how gaming is on this. So, with the gaming section, we're just going to be playing a few games and seeing how they manage themselves with HDMI out. We're checking for things such as slowdown, choppiness or lagging. The first game we got here is something called Wind Up Night. It's fairly straightforward. It's kind of like a side-scroller platform game where you kind of jump and later on you get a sword and you get to slash your way through enemies and roll and duck and things like that. But this game has native keyboard support right off the bat, so you can use a Bluetooth keyboard away from the screen, and it works fairly well. There's no lagging or anything in that game. The next game we got is something called Sleepy Jack. I showed this to you guys a while back, and it's fairly interesting, but once again, this is probably the best keyboard support I've found natively on a game, so you know, all the buttons are mapped quite to something sensible. Some other games aren't mapped very well, but this is mapped pretty nicely, so it works well. There's no slowdowns or anything in Sleepy Jack. But unfortunately for some games such as Cordy Sky, I think this is called, it's stuck in portrait, and when you're stuck in portrait on a 16:9 TV it looks pretty disgusting like this, but yeah, that's what you just have to deal with. But let's move on to something more intensive. We've just been looking at casual games, but if we look at something like Nova 3, this game runs pretty well, but I do have to admit there sometimes is a little bit of frame drops with HDMI out, so you have to watch out for that, but mostly it's okay. That's only a rarity. If you do have a PS3 controller, you can indeed, with a root, play this away from the screen. So as you can see, things do look good. It kind of reminds me of Halo 2 graphics, or maybe Halo 1, but yeah, things work nicely there, and it's fairly fun to play on the big screen. A game that I was really impressed with though was Batman Dark Knight Rises. This is actually quite a new game, and it's probably 2 months old now, but it actually had no slowdowns whatsoever, and it just looked brilliant actually on the screen. Like you couldn't see much pixelation or anything like that, and it just ran like butter. But once again, if you did have a PS3 controller, you could map this out using an external app and play this away from the screen. But this is a game I do recommend, by the way. It's actually fairly cool. And as you can see all the textures and details there. It all looks great on this big screen. So if you are going to play via HDMI out, I would recommend trying this game out. So that pretty much rounds out gaming, but there's just one thing missing, and that's USB support. Now Samsung have a device called a Smart Dock available for the Galaxy Note 2, but I couldn't get my hands on it for this video. So we're just going to get rid of that HDMI and just use the Galaxy Note by itself as a full computer. Now this is a real life scenario. My friend did indeed give me a USB stick mounted with Misfits, and I did want to watch it, but I couldn't be bothered going to my computer, so I just plugged it straight into my Galaxy Note 2 and then watched it on the fly just like that. Now no matter how many times I do this, I still think this is one of the coolest things of the Android operating system. And it's just really handy, and it's actually such a shame to see so many mobile operating systems neglect this feature. Now as soon as you plug in that USB stick, you'll be able to see that the device recognizes it straight away and brings out the file manager. Now I don't think the original Galaxy Note did this, but this is a welcome addition. Now we can just browse what we want to, so we got our little video clip, and we can just choose the player that we want, and then we can play it. Now let me say, on this new screen, things look a lot better. So the original Galaxy Note and the Galaxy S3 had an issue with the deep blacks. It had something called black clipping, which pretty much ruined the contrast on lower light scenes. Now Misfits is a very dark show, and it was great to see such clarity and quality on this new screen. So it was just a real joy watching on this device. So my friends, have come to the conclusion of this video. So this is the stage we're at in the year 2012. Our smartphones, particularly the Galaxy Note 2, are just getting to the stage where they can pretty much replace our computers. Now obviously this is not 100% practical, but it is still possible in theory. So I guess the humble smartphone has come a long way. Anyway, thanks for watching this far, and I really hope to see you next time. And don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe. This video did take a whole lot of effort, so if you could share it, that would be so greatly appreciated. I'll see you guys later.